What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Football Show. We are a proud member of Empire Media and the Empire Media Podcast Network. D-Mendy here, joined as always by Johnny Foosball, John Van Etten. John, is Diamondback Pizza the 1.01 of pizzas in Baltimore?
It is. You have to get it. They just released their new summer menu. And don't say anything about free ads, Brad. I'm giving them a free ad. Don't worry.
Pizza's okay.
They should be endorsed. So that's why I wanted to start off with them there. Of course, we're also joined by someone who likes to tweet about picking one thing and one thing only. It's Doc, Eric Mendelson. What's going on?
What's the one thing I tweet about?
No, it's always like pick one of these things if you're real, or like pick which one of these represents you. It's always those.
Sorry, I'm good at interaction, David. Sounds like there's some jealousy.
It's always picking one thing. It's never picking two. So maybe you should change it up a little bit. But of course, rounding out the normal crew is the guy who always likes the over. It's the Bradstradamus, Brad Kilgore. What's going on?
When did I ever talk about the over?
Didn't you do that on the most recent
monkey knife fight?
Yeah, the monkey knife fight show.
You pick over on all of our props.
I mean, it is true. I just didn't know that I've come out and said I always go with the over, but you can't root for the under. That's no way to watch a game.
I mean, when you're an astute watcher of your monkey knife fight shows, it's when you pick up on those things. And you hit, didn't you? You were right about all of them, weren't you?
I'm always right, Davey.
Oh, there we go. That's why you're the Bradstradamus. But
he doesn't just pick the right. He doesn't just pick overs. He just picks the right answers, David. That's the difference.
There you go. There you go. Well, I got to introduce our guest here, a very special guy here. We welcome in a man that lives by 3 words, and those 3 words are fire, content, only. The creator of Real Deal Fantasy. You can catch this guy barbecuing, spitting hot fire on the TikTok, or talking about his Rams. Fellas, we ain't running with the sheep anymore out here, as we have now entered part of the wolf pack.
Yes,
we welcome in. That's right. LQ in the house. What's going on, man?
What's up, bros? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock, talk Rams fantasy football, of course, man. I'm glad you guys are having me on, man. I'm very appreciative you thought of me. So I'm ready to rock and roll whenever you are.
Hey, man, we're real appreciative of you. We've obviously we've seen each other's content for a while. We share each other's content. Your stuff is obviously fire content. So it's just been a fun watching you grow and you know, you running in the fantasy industry, how you're doing it. And so I'm curious, how long have you been in the fantasy game? Because you've built up quite a YouTube following. All your socials have like nice following. So when did it all start for you?
I would say I took it serious probably 2 years ago, but I've been doing this overall for like close to 4 years. So the first year one was tough because it was only Facebook. It was just very toxic in the Facebook groups. And then I made an Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. So the journey has not been easy. It's been a struggle. It's really been, crazy, but I landed in Twitter. I ended up activating like one of my Twitters I had after college and actually during college, and then started growing from there. So I had to do like a little social media sweep, back in 2015, make sure I wasn't talking crazy as hell. Yeah. And thank God I was keeping it clean. But so it's been a journey, man. It's been a while, but I'm happy to be where I'm at now and always looking to hit the moon. So there we are.
Always leveling up.
Nobody's been listening to some Elon Musk.
Hey, a little plug-in. That's where I work, man. I'm a Tesla mechanic, so I got to plug in Elon whenever I can.
Yeah, I love it. Again, obviously does great work. You've had great guests on your show. You're now doing a show right now with Troy and Marcus G, right? The comic book show.
Yes. Be on the lookout for that. We got some great content coming out there. It's like really cool to work with Troy. Obviously work with Marcus as well to make this a whole series, a whole podcast. So this is going to be dope, man. You got to be on the lookout for that.
LQ, I've been getting into a little bit of anime this year. What's the next show I should be watching?
Man, so my buddy put me on 7 Deadly Sins, and then that's
on Netflix, right?
Yeah, I'm starting Hunter x Hunter, so that's one of the ones that went under the radar for me. So
my boy told me to watch that one. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. I can't watch a whole bunch of stuff at once because I'll just end up getting lost, and then I'll end up stopping, and then won't come back until like a year later. So I got to do things one or two at a time.
I'm glad we're going to stop there because Brad will easily turn this into a TV show movie podcast if I don't rein him in real quick.
I'm a big movie bus. So if there's ever
we got a new guest for the movie minutes, Brad.
I was about to say, me and Johnny do a movie minutes, man. We got to have you on.
That sounds good.
All right. Well, we got a packed show with LQ joining us today. We have our NFC West preview, as our division previews again are now in our second week here. First was NFC East. Now we're in the NFC West here. And we're hoping to make them spectacular. So that's why we're bringing on these guests just like LQ to help us break down these divisions and these fantasy relevant players so you know whether you should stay away from these rising or fallen stars, the rookie impacts that they're going to give you, players to keep that sharp eye on your drafts, all that good stuff coming your way soon. Make sure to stay tuned for that. After, we'll go to our question of the week. Which NFL player do you think has bars if you gave him a beat? And as always, we have our game revealed at the end of the show. So if you guys are ready to get another episode started,
No.
man,
No.
we're here to do it for you. Let's do it! Yeah. Oh, man.
Love that we have my guy Danny Woodhead to end it.
Danny
Yeah,
Woodhead, it's Austin Eckler.
Oh my
we
gosh,
gotta
you're right.
we gotta
you're
mellow
right.
out. We gotta mellow out that music, man.
Brad, you said you were
It's too
gonna
high
dress
energy.
you said you were going to dress like Gene Simmons when we debuted that today.
I should have got my my Kiss makeup.
Which Guitar Hero was that from?
It was a free beat that I found online. I don't even know if that's a real song.
Smart man. Twitter's been on that.
Yeah,
no,
that's
for great.
Down.
It's a great video though. Who did that? Mike Kirkland?
Mike Curlin, and thank you. I want to give him another shout out. I gave him one last night too. Mike Curlin did our baseball and our football, and he's going to do our basketball one next. He's just a wizard with anything video. So you got to hit him up if you need some video stuff done because no
Nice
one
work, Mike.
So do we have to cut a check to Players Inc., like DeMar Smith said, because we're using those players?
There we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
I like it.
Most likely.
We're gonna keep that hidden from him. But let's get to some news and notes here. Let's start off with the Falcons and Mr. Julio Jones, who's been dominating the headlines over recent weeks. It's now being reported that they've been offered more than one first-round pick for multiple teams here, according to ESPN's Diana Rossini. So I'm curious, guys. It seems like half the league isn't on him. I'm not even going to list all the teams because we'd be here all night. So LQ, I'm going to start with you here. Ultimately, it sounds like he's going to get traded maybe this week or next week. Where is he going?
He's going to Tennessee, man. It's the best fit. Honestly, don't see him going anywhere else. He wants to win. I really feel like, the Titans are competitors in that division. They're competitors, in general. But if he really, really wants to win, my dream situation will probably be the Buffalo Bills. I'm just saying. But I know he's going to Tennessee. It's just the right fit for him. And obviously, A.J. Brown has been doing some recruiting and willing to change his number. So, hey, just play it safe.
I agree. Can you imagine Tannehill with Julio and A.J. Brown? I mean, is Tannehill a top 10 QB at that point? Like,
can you imagine 3 years ago starting that sentence with, can you imagine Tannehill with anyone?
Adam Gates.
Hey,
I can't believe that's a converted wide receiver, man. I don't know if there's ever been like a success story like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think about it, A&M, that he was doing that type of stuff. So, Brad, I want to go to you next. Where is he going?
Yeah. I think, the team has to be close enough to contending for a championship that they don't really need a first rounder to continue to build out the team. They also probably need to be in the AFC. So there's probably like a list of 8 teams, like the Cards, the Bills, the Ravens, Chiefs, Chargers, Rams, Dolphins, Titans. My personal favorite landing spot for him would be the Ravens, just because I'd like to see what that offense would look like when you have a bona fide number 1 and 2 speedy alternative targets. So I honestly think that offense would be better than the Chiefs because they'd have the firepower to come back in games. Well, listen, they'd have the firepower to come back in games that they're down, but they'd also be able to control the clock better because they're gonna have
and they
the number
wouldn't
one
rely
running
on
attack.
gimmicks.
Yeah.
The Heat.
But I'm
Bringing the
telling,
Heat.
like, that's where, like, where's the hole in that offense if they have Julio Jones? Like, I don't know that I could find it because their running game is going to be way better than the Chiefs, and if you can control the clock and you can come back in games, that's a scary sight, man.
Yeah.
Doc,
like it.
do you agree with it? Are you all in on the Ravens if he goes there?
So you asked this question last week, and I said the Chiefs, and I feel like I have to stick with it. They could include a young wide receiver. I think they don't really need their first-round picks because they're later. I mean, they're kind of tied with Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill. They have their foundation for the future, and I think especially after losing a Super Bowl, I mean, they're contenders year in, year out. So if he really wants to win, maybe he takes a pay cut. Maybe Kansas City is going to just offer future first-round picks that they wouldn't have used anyway. But I hope I'm wrong.
I will say
Mahomes
this.
for Julio. Who says no?
Every Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Jeez.
I will tell you this, that he's not going to Kansas City. They pretty much shut that down because we don't have the money to pay him. And I know they say the salary
that's
cap's
not
a
real.
myth. They say it's
That's
a
not
myth,
real.
but when Brett Veach has come out and said it, like,
it is a myth.
I could see Mahomes like converting his salary next year to a signing bonus, and then boom, they've got an extra $20 million.
Yeah.
So-
I just because a GM says no, like if he says yes, then that's tampering.
Exactly.
if he goes to Kansas City, I'll do something on air that I don't even know what. There's no chance he's going to Kansas City.
Jump off your window on air.
Jump off my window. I mean, you don't want me
Let's
coming
keep him
back
alive.
on the podcast, sure.
Yeah.
No. You'll stay alive. You'll stay alive.
I know,
You're
I'm
too
on the third
fit.
floor.
Tuck and roll. Aim
You're
for
too
the
fit.
bushes.
I'm on the
Yeah.
third floor. It's kind of like that's the hit or miss territory.
Yeah, it's either broken legs or you're dead.
The other bit of news I wanted to get here is the Jaguars, of course, signed Tim Tebow earlier this month. We've talked about it a little bit, but apparently right now he's not just competing for a spot at tight end. They're talking about using him in the Taysom Hill wildcat quarterback type of role too, where he's going to cast patches at tight end, but he's also going to be playing behind center some too. Does this sound like he's this chance now he might make the roster based off this is
I want to address this nonsense that Taysom Hill has somehow carved out a niche appearing in 5 plays in a game. That this is somehow like a bona fide position that players should aim for now to be Taysom Hill. Like, I don't get it. Cut it out.
Apparently it gets you paid, man.
what is that?
Imaginary money. Taysom Hill ain't ever seeing that money in that contract.
Yeah.
That's true.
Ever.
It was such
Speaking
a weird
of-
deal.
Speaking of the cap being imaginary, that Taysom Hill contract is imaginary.
Yep.
How much has he actually made in his career at this point?
Oh,
It has to be
More
at
than
least
he should.
It's probably I mean,
Less than
what's
10.
it, like 10 million?
I would say less than 10.
Probably less.
Less than
I'll
10.
look that up further. I'll look that up later on.
I think he's made close to 20 mil, actually.
No way.
To appear for 5 plays a game in a Taysom Hill
Why am I not
role,
signed?
unbelievable.
Yeah.
David, I'll look it up while you transition.
Thank you. Before we get to the plug, we are giving away some spot in the Scott Fish Bowl tonight. Scott Fish was very, very generous and kind to give us a chance to auction off one of the spots in the Scott Fish Bowl. We got 10 people donating. To get in, all you had to do was donate to the Humane Society of the United States. We actually reached nearly $150 donations in the last 24 hours. So that was insanely awesome for everybody that donated. We will be doing that after the question of the week before we get to the game. I have the 100-yard rush game set up. So whoever player gets to the end first will win. So we'll get to that later on, but appreciate everybody that donated for a great cause. And I hope, I wish all of you guys could get in, but as of right now, it's just one. So we'll make sure we show that on air. I'll make sure I message whoever wins, obviously, if they're not watching the show. So, all right. With that said, if you like what you're hearing so far, make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button wherever you find your podcasts. If you want to hear more Triple Play, great news for you. We have a fantasy baseball and basketball show that you can check out, available anywhere you get your podcasts. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hook the boys up with a 5-star rating and review to support the show. Check us out on all social media at Tripplay Fantasy and our website, tripplayfantasy.com. You'll see tons of articles, videos, podcasts, tons of mini YouTube series, including the movie minutes, of course, from those two gentlemen over there. Plenty of stuff to go check out if you want to. Anything that tickles your fancy, we got it. But I want you to know, if you're looking for a podcast that will make you giggle like you were in the 3rd grade 20 years ago, then look no further than this podcast right here. Because I'm telling you, we might just change your life. And if you're watching the live version, we're not going anywhere. But if you're on the podcast version, we're going to jump into the NFC NFC West preview, excuse me, right after this quick break.
David, your segues make me giggle.
That was the goal, man. That was the goal. All right. So the NFC West division preview. It's a very fun division. Some high-scoring teams, exciting players in this division. We're going to start, obviously, at the quarterback spot. LQ, we're going to go right to these Rams.
Wait. Speaking of quarterbacks, can I tell you how much Taysom Hill has made?
Oh, yes.
Oh, go ahead.
So prior to this season, he has $10.5 million in career earnings, but assuming he makes the Saints week 1, he'll have made $22.6 million in his career.
Ooh, that's a jump.
Wow.
Yeah, he has a $10 or $11 million signing bonus and then $1 million guaranteed in salary. So he's making big this year.
That's insane.
All right.
You want to shoot for dreams, shoot for like Taysom Hill. There you go. All right. So starting off with quarterback, starting off with the LA Rams, you got Matt Stafford, who's new in town. Last year with the Detroit Lions, he was the 15th ranked quarterback, just under 17 points per game. He's now with Sean McVay in a translucent offense that has more weapons than he's probably had in any year in Detroit, maybe except outside the Calvin Johnson years.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Translucent?
Is translucent the word you were going for?
I don't know. Just go. You know, just to go with things on this show.
You're stupid, David.
Respect. Power through it. No worries.
He's right now QB 11 going in redraft. He's been going as high as 6 and as low as 18. He's right now projected for about 4,500 yards and 26 passing touchdowns. LQ, does that sound about right for him? Too high, too low? What are you expecting from Mr. Matt Stafford?
46 sounds like right. And I think, with the touchdowns, it might be between 26 and 30. I can deal with that. But Stafford is going to be amazing this year. He has a top 5 defense, which it's been a very long time since he had that. He has a running back that's going to be able to run the ball, hit the holes, and actually score. Then he has a head coach that is actually an offensive genius. So McVay is getting a guy where he doesn't have to hold their hand and tell them to play, how to read defenses while the game's going on. What are you doing, Jared Goff? But yeah, there's that. So I definitely think, a lot of people are sleeping on Matthew Stafford. Everybody's saying he's old, he's broken, et cetera, et cetera. Big Ben is broken, okay? And old, he's the same age as Russell Wilson. So use that same narrative for that. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to say he's old and broken when we clearly have examples of people that are old and broken are still playing. Big Ben, there you go. But I definitely think, people are going to be very happy that they're going to be able to grab Matthew Stafford in those later rounds. So I'm all for it.
Can I be a Matthew Stafford hater if I'm also a Big Ben hater?
God, I put him in 2 different categories because I think Big Ben is about to retire after 1 more year. Matthew Stafford, they just came out today and they said they expect him for another 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford has more injuries, though, that I feel like we actually talk about. Like, be like, oh, he has 3 fractures in his back. Oh, he's probable for Sunday.
He's literally the toughest player
That's
in
all
the NFL.
players,
He
though.
did have that cool play where he broke his ribs and then called timeout just so he could come back in and throw a touchdown.
Yeah,
Or a 2-point conversion. It was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, that whole thing, the whole narrative about that is crazy. I really think, people at first when the trade went on, they were comparing Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. Like, is he much better? Hell yeah, he's much better. Like, clearly he has heart. Like, there's a lot of times where I see Goff running for the first down and he slides right before the first down. There's times where he has the read, he has the guy open to make that, money shot. He doesn't take it. He hesitates, gets sacked. There's plenty of times we've seen this on film. He has no heart. I'm sorry to say, he just doesn't have a heart. He doesn't have football IQ, and it is what it is. So Detroit's going to struggle. Rams are going to win.
Savage mode. I love it. LQ, is it crazy to say he could sneak into the top 10, like the 9th or 10th best quarterback this year? Is that too high?
I gotta be real, man. I really feel like he'll be sitting at that 12th spot, and you'll still be happy about the value that you get out of him. And honestly, as a fan, I don't like to down talk my guys. I love Tyler Higbee, but it's never going to be Tyler Higbee season. So that whole thing needs to just stop. But I just hate doing it. But to be real, though, Stafford has a potential of like a bounce back season. And he could end up being a top 12, quarterback. So I'll stick with 12, not inside 10. It's just too many mobile quarterbacks.
like
LQ,
that.
to your point, like I love what you said about the defense. I think that might mean that he's going to be a better real life quarterback than a fantasy quarterback because he's not going to be in those shootout games,
Yeah, but he's also going to be in a high power offense. I mean, they were averaging 32 points, in 2017 and 2018 when we had Brandon Cooks. So it's like with that formula, like how high powered that offense is, it's going to be great for fantasy. I think Goff was like one of the most underrated, players in 2018. He ended up being a top 12 quarterback as well. So it's fantasy and real life. It both works in that offense when you have a head coach like Sean McVay.
That's true.
I agree. Let's go to you next, Doc, because we're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks a little bit here. Russell Wilson, QB6 at about 23.3 points per game for the season. But it's a tale of two halves with this guy. As week 1 through 7, he was the number 1 quarterback, averaging over 30 points a game. But from week 8 on, he was QB 10. Seattle changed their whole offensive game, it seems, as his attempts went down 3.5 per game from the first half to the second half of the year. I have him right now. It's about QB7. He's ranked like QB6 on Fantasy Pros, so it's right in that range. I don't see Pete Carroll ever letting Russ cook fully in a year, even if he teases it sometimes. Is that going to be the case in 2021?
So I actually think it's going to be the year that we see Russ cook for the whole season, hopefully. He had his most passing attempts in 2020, the highest completions percentage, his most touchdowns he had with 40, also his most interceptions with 13. But he's going to add some mobility as well. He had 513 rushing yards. The O-line isn't good. What you had mentioned about the passing, in the first 8 games, he threw for 300-plus yards in 5 out of 8, and after that, 0 out of 8. But this is really the first time we've heard turmoil coming out of Seattle where he's not happy. And I think they want to avoid a situation where Green Bay is with Aaron Rodgers right now, with Houston is with Deshaun Watson, where it's, you've really screwed me over so bad, there's no way I'm coming back. And I think this was Russell Wilson's warning. I think they got Eskridge to give him another passing option. So I really do think that they let him cook the entire year.
I forgot he was like inches away from being traded, like at the beginning of the offseason. Like that was like the Aaron Rodgers rumor, like he's gone. And now Aaron Rodgers isn't gone either.
Eric, I got to say that fantasy analysis.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Was not very fetch. I'm going to say that. No,
I thought that was somebody whispering into your mic, Davey.
Who is that?
It was the fetch thing from Mean Girl.
No,
Mean Girl
I picked up on it after a second, but at first
I thought we got like Zoom hacked or something.
For real.
You guys know my soundboard by now.
But David, it doesn't feel good talking up any Seahawk, okay? You know that.
They're your mortal enemies. I get it.
To add
wait, LQ. Are the Seahawks the team you hate most in the division?
No. I think I hate the 49ers now. It used to be, but we beat, the Seahawks, beat their ass all the time. So there's that. But
you guys don't beat their ass all the time.
The 49ers have our number. I don't know what it is, man, but
it's all right. The Seahawks have our number. It's transitive property.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah. John, let's go to you next. Let's talk about those 49ers, those pesky 49ers that nobody likes, and that I'm upset there's 2 of them in our intro here. Last year, obviously, you had Jimmy Garoppolo, who only played in 6 games, has injuries hamper his entire career at this point. He was QB 39 in terms of points per game when he was healthy. It's obviously a matter of when and not if Trey Lance takes over, whether it's this season or next year. I'm assuming it'll probably be sometime this year. But Trey Lance in his last full college season threw 28 touchdowns, no picks, and ran for 1,100 yards. So there's a lot of potential there. Either of those guys that you want to talk about that you feel good about for this year for fantasy?
No, because I pretty much had this as a steer clear of both of them because you're not going to get a full-time quarterback for the full
and this
season.
is for to me emphasize this is for redraft purposes. Dynasty, obviously, Trey Lance is different. Yeah.
But, Jimmy Garoppolo is, I believe he's most likely going to start, at least week 1 going into the season. Eric, you can hop in if I'm incorrect, but he's bound to get hurt or benched before the season's over, and then it's Trey Lance season. But I don't know if you're not going to want to hang around and hold him on your bench for 11 weeks, hoping he somehow gets the start at some point. So it's definitely a steer clear situation.
I would say it's like week 7. I think Jimmy has a short leash.
I'd have to see when their bye is, because that's always when they do these things. I feel
but
like.
I mean, chances are Jimmy won't even make it to week 7 before getting hurt. So
yeah,
I would.
You're not going to
stash
stash Lance. You'd stash a roster spot for 8 weeks, hoping that they'll get the starts.
Yes. After seeing what Jalen Hurts did to me in the playoffs last year, I won't let that. I won't let that happen to me again.
You sound very hurt.
You're able to get Herbert off of waivers in like week 3, though. I mean, that might be the same situation. Honestly, I'm not excited about Jimmy G, about him coming in as a starter, but honestly, Trey Lance, I would rather him sit this entire year just to learn the game. He has a full year of OTAs, preseason now. A lot of rookies last season didn't have that opportunity, so I think he really should just sit behind Jimmy G, soak in all the offense, and then be ready to
Am I
soaking the knowledge from anyone other than Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, yeah, no offense.
Am I the only one that am I the only one that thinks he might start the season straight up?
Would be cool, but I
wouldn't say it's crazy.
I wouldn't like it, though, to be honest. I wouldn't like it.
Yeah. I think give him at least a couple games to watch Jimmy Garoppolo on the field, let him study live game action. I hope that's what they would do as well. And I'm not a Niners fan or anything, but for his development. Brad, let's go to you. And I know why you wanted to take the Cardinals. You want to talk about your guy here, Mr. Kyler Murray, who one of the few people that I saw actually ranking Kyler Murray number 1 last year, when everybody was kind of having him as that QB5 or in around that range. Finished as QB2, but he would have been QB1 probably if he hadn't got hurt. He was behind only Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen in terms of points per game for quarterbacks that played at least 15 games. He just finished shy of 4,000 passing yards with 26 touchdowns, but he also rushed for 819 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. Right now, he's going as QB3, according to Fantasy Pros, around 34th overall, projected to get about 27 passing touchdowns and 8 rushing touchdowns. What do you think, Brad? Is he back at QB1?
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. His ADP is at about 3 right now, and to be honest, that's fine with me. I could go as high as number 1 and as low as maybe 5 or 6. To me, the only downside is projections are that, I think he's got a revamped running game and another year with D-Hop, so, I think there should be a better team this year, which likely means less game script positive, like fourth quarter throwing barrages that he had last year. So they'll probably do a better job of, controlling the clock and less air raid. And even if the downside plays out, Murray's an elite option at QB, and wherever you draft him, you're not going to be disappointed unless he, gets hurt. And also shout out to Colt McCoy. I found out he's Kyler Murray's backup, which is wild to me. I don't know why they decided to go that route, but good for him.
Yeah, solid backup. I'm not going to hate on that. Let's go to the running backs. Let's talk about it's going to get interesting now. Let's start off back with the Rams here. Cam Akers, you got Darrell Henderson backing him up, but at least for Cam Akers, he played in 12 games last year. He finished as RB42, around 7.5 points a game. But from week 12 to 17, those 5 games that he played in, he was RB18 in PPR. There's top 5 upside there with Akers. I think some people like to tease that. Some people are kind of staying away from that high price, given that small sample size and big workload he got down the stretch. Right now, he's RB10, according to Fantasy Pros LQ. Is that just about right for Akers?
Yeah. Running back 10, I really feel like I'm in a weird space about Cam Akers, to be 100% honest, because his price in redraft right now is a little expensive for my taste. But if you're going to go ahead and invest that high on Cam Akers, you definitely want to get the handcuff on Henderson because he's going to be just as involved. So we both seen Henderson and Cam Akers, take some injuries early in the season. They were luckily saved by Malcolm Brown, the veteran there that knows the playbook, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have Malcolm Brown this year. So if one or the other goes down, it might look ugly. You're going to feel a little shitty not having one or the other being a handcuff or that high investment you're going to have on Akers. So I'm in a weird space to where I might not buy Akers, but if he gets to a good situation in the draft and I already have my RB1, he's my RB2, all right, I'll take him. But I really think he's going to have a good year in real life football, though. There's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities for him with Matthew Stafford. And hey, we saw the Wildcat got brung out, with Cam Akers as well. So that lets me know that Sean McVay likes Cam Akers to be the 1A in that situation. So it's definitely the future's bright for him.
Do you think that Darrell Henderson's just enough of a problem where it's going to be just stressful every single week to play Akers, or do you think it's going to be more of like a not necessarily like a Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, or a Zeke Tony Pollard, but where it's going to be enough to be annoying, where you're just not wanting the headache?
I could see it being where, Cam Akers will still get his 15 to 20 touches. You're just going to be a little annoyed in the red zone when it comes to Henderson. He gets his 8 touches and 5 of them are in the red zone. You're going to be like, why? Why is that happening? But we shall see. I'm not too sure.
To watch that play out. Let's go now. John, I want to go to you next. Let's talk about the 49ers and that just absolute mess of a backfield. You have Raheem Mostert as the starter. Jeff Wilson did get hurt. He might go on the PUP list, so he might help clear it for some people. You got the Gall man back there, who's the fourth stringer. And everybody knows that from Adam last week. And then obviously Trey Sermon, who's the rookie. That's kind of the really intriguing part of this backfield. Raheem Mostert, the highest of the group, is RB 48 last year, around 12.5 points a game. Seems like any running back you put in Shanahan's system is going to succeed. So most likely whoever gets the most playing time is going to be worth whatever their draft price is. So I'm curious, do you like Raheem Mostert this year where he's going? Trey Sermon, obviously he's a little bit less or more down the list here. And he could be, if he usurps Mostert, he's going to be an incredible value. Do you see like a 50-50 timeshare from them? Do you think it's like a 75-25 or 75-15-10 split? What do you think about this backfield? Because I'm already getting messed up just talking about it, honestly.
Don't worry, David. I triple checked those numbers for you. That did add up to 100.
Thank you. I was nervous.
But this is you almost want to say steer clear of this backfield, but at the same time, whoever plays is actually going to do fantastic. So it makes it worth the risk, in my opinion. I've loved Raheem Mostert for a while, but the issue is now he's almost 30, and that seems to be a roadblock. And he's obviously had his injury history. So I do think that, Trey Sermon can kind of be a sneaky pick in later rounds, even though he's just climbing up people's draft boards the longer it goes on. But I still think at this point in time, he can still be a sneaky pickup late that'll end up taking the lion's share, 55-45 maybe, or maybe 55-25-20.
No, getting fancy. I like it. Yeah, it's going to be something. The 49ers fan on this show, do you agree with everything said, or do you think Sermon will become the guy sooner rather than later?
Gallman's a career backup, so I think we need to remove him from the equation a little bit.
So you didn't include Kyle Juszczyk, because Kyle Juszczyk is going to get some work. They restructured his deal. He'll probably steal a couple carries
and a Taysom Hill-like role.
Yeah, I think if Gallman makes the team, he's going to have the Jeff Wilson role where he's the short yardage back, kind of the red zone back as well. I think Raheem Mostert's actually going to turn into more of a pass catching back, the Jerick McKinnon role that they had originally signed him to. I think Sermon gets a decent amount of carries from the jump. I think Mostert probably starts 50-30 to Sermon, 20 to Gallman.
Okay. And by which week is Trey Sermon the lead ball carrier?
It rotates each week.
Yeah,
honestly,
he's going to be the lead carrier in weeks 3, 7.
That's how
8,
it is.
10.
I'm trying. Whenever people ask me who should I take in the 49ers draft, I say whoever you don't think is going to win the job is going to.
And it would be easy just to not draft a single one of them if they all weren't going to do so well at certain points in time.
The reason I don't think Sermon is going to get that huge role right away is because Kyle Shanahan's outside zone blocking scheme, it takes a lot to know, especially with pass protection. That's huge for him. And he typically doesn't have rookies start right away.
Yeah, LQ, are you on that page as well?
Yeah, I really feel like it's going to be very toxic to try to figure out who's going to be the guy this week, that week, et cetera, et cetera. I definitely think they like Mostert. I definitely agree that he'll probably be more involved in the passing game as well, because a lot of people forget he actually requested to get traded. So they like him. They want him to stay. So therefore, he's going to get his workload, and probably see Sermon around week 10. That's probably around the time we could see him starting to get a more heavier, workload once, everybody else is hurt or just out of the way. So we shall figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. Brad, we're gonna go to you next. Apparently, got to get Julio to Seattle just for you guys.
How toxic is Jordan? Oh my god!
I love Jordan.
Yeah, if Julio goes to Seattle, man, sheesh, I'll hate them even
Definitely
more.
the most jacked wide receiving core in the league.
It won't matter anyway. It's clamps, Ramsey season, and Aaron Donald.
Brad, let's go to you next. Let's talk about the Cardinals backfield. And Eric, I'm going to include you in this after Brad talks because I know your number one favorite running back in the league is included here. Chase Edmonds was RB25 at 10.5 points per game. James Conner was RB27 at 12.7 points per game. Is this a 50-50 backfield split? Or is Conner just going to be the running guy first and second down and Chase Edmonds third down back? Brad, what the heck are we doing with this backfield?
Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a maddening position for a lot of owners. I think it's going to be a situation much like Tampa's was this past year. I think you're going to have, 2 RB1s and Chase Edmonds and James Conner. Whoever gets the hot hand will have a majority of the carries that week. I don't think it's going to be a specific, goal line back either. They were 25 and 26 respectively last year, so they've got plenty in the tank. They were also RB28 and RB24 last year. So I think that's, right around where I'd rank them this year since they're going to cannibalize each other's carries. At the end of the day, if you're rostering one of them, I think it's a valid strategy to make sure you have the other. Like you're going to want to handcuff. If another injury happens, one of them is probably going to catapult into like a top 10 option in any given week. So just because that offense is so explosive. So I honestly, they're a backfield I would target, but only if I could get them both.
And Benjamin will not be a factor, do you think?
I don't think so. He's probably like if there's an injury that happens, like he's going to take the backup roles, but it's going to be a lead back in that situation.
All right, fair enough. The last team here that everybody likes talking about, Seattle. You got Chris Carson, and then you got a collection of Rashad Penny, Travis Homer, DJ Dallas. I think this is probably one of the most clear backfields, at least to me. Chris Carson, RB19 in points, points per game. He's 19 in total points, fringe top 10 in points per game last season. He's fresh off a 2-year, $14.6 million deal given to him. So he should be the guy in Seattle, I would expect again. Penny probably gets some backup role stuff. Homer is a pass catching back. DJ Dallas, I could imagine being inactive a lot of weeks.
But he has the coolest name of the group.
He does. He does for sure. But in a world of running back by committee, I feel like, again, if you were to rank backfields, I would probably put this one in the top 10 as terms. I know when Chris Carson's healthy, he's going to lead that backfield. He's rushed for 3,270 yards and 21 touchdowns over the last 45 games. He's currently going as the 20th running back off the board, which I feel like is about right. I have him around RB19. So it's, again, right in that range. Anything you guys disagree with? Do you think this backfield's going to get messy, or is it Carson and then just a handcuff?
I actually think Chris Carson starts declining a little bit this year. He has first of all, he's a very physical runner. He has 715 career carries, and I look at the running backs around that mark. Jeremy Hill, Tevin Coleman.
Don't say Jeremy Hill.
But I'm saying
I'm surprised Jeremy Hill has that many carries.
But that's what I'm saying. 715 isn't a lot. He's 26 years old, which is old for a running back. Older. He'll probably miss 2 to 4 games. 26 is older for a running back. Carlos Hyde at 81 last year. So I think that backup role is really there. I just see with his running style, I just don't know if he can do another year of 200 plus touches. We'll see.
LQ, what do you think?
I think he could hit that 200 mark. I really feel like you said, he's a downhill runner. He plays big, so injury is going to be there. So investing on Carson, he's going to miss 2 to 4 games. So you just have to grab that backup. That backup is going to exist. And Carlos Hyde, he did an okay job. There were some weeks you were looking at him like, why is he touching the ball? But he was being very efficient when he touched the ball. So Carlos Hyde is a good running back. So thank God he's gone, and he's going to be giving James Robinson hell. But I definitely think that backup matters there. So you definitely can put him on your watch list, or you can just grab him off waivers when that 1 week Chris Carson's out, pick him up and go. And
what do y'all
season?
What do y'all think about What do y'all think about Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell? Do you think they'll end up anywhere?
No. Oh, they do.
They'll end up somewhere.
I
But
think
I
I think
was gonna
Le'Veon Bell
say-
will.
Gurley
That
taking
was
that
the
visit-
best.
No.
What do you say, LQ?
I said Gurley taking that visit to Detroit. I don't know. It's not like he got signed or anything, but it's the fact that Detroit is looking for running backs or taking visits from running backs when you just sign one, and we want Swift to get max touches. So it's just weird. But if Gurley does sign there, I think that'll be a good spot for him. He'll be the red zone guy, which will hinder Swift. But Le'Veon Bell, I don't know.
I think it would be perfect in a place like Seattle. Todd Gurley.
Gurley?
Yeah. He's got the same
Don't
running
do it.
style as Carson.
That'll be toxic. I'll be pissed off every game.
Yeah, but he has degenerative knees.
All right, we got to
Exactly.
move on.
So he
Let's
could be
move on to
backup.
the pass catchers here. Let's go back to the Rams, and they've got a lot of great pass catchers. They got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp leading the group here. Robert Woods was wide receiver 14 last year, going as wide receiver 20 this year. Cooper Kupp was wide receiver 46, going as wide receiver 22. Higbee's by himself at the tight end position. Obviously, Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell are both there. Don't know if that's anything relevant this year or not. What can we expect from the relevant pass catchers of the Rams here, LQ?
I'm glad that you said Tutu is not going to be relevant this year, which is a very good saying there, because he's just going to jet sweep us to death, and it's not really going to happen. If you remember Tavon Austin, that didn't work well. So he's going to be on special teams, so he's not a non-factor. But I believe it's Van Jefferson's season for the simple fact the flashes he gave us in the playoff game against the Packers, that was like everything I wanted to happen. Like from week 13 up to that playoff game, slowly but surely, it's just been increasing his snaps. So I definitely think, Van Jefferson's a guy you can get in the later rounds. Like whisper, keep it down on the low so you can get him. If you're doing live drafts, don't even mention his name all day. So I definitely feel like, he's going to be one of those guys that are going to be a steal. You're going to be like, holy hell, yes. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, you know what you're getting out of him. Nice little video that we seen today with Stafford and him in the end zone, which was an amazing catch. So I think you're going to get a lot more touchdowns out of Kupp. And then Robert Woods has been consistent the last 3 years, so you're getting 120 plus targets. So
Yeah, and you're going to get some rushing attempts.
Don't bring it up.
You're going to get some rushing attempts.
Are you going to draft Tutu Atwell because he might do an end around, Eric?
yeah, I'm going to see 4 jet sweeps, and that's it.
So the backstory, Robert Woods scored a rushing touchdown week 2. And I texted John, and he said, I bet you the rest of the season he doesn't have another one. And in like week 9, I'm just sending him that Venmo request.
Got one more. It's not like he got 3 more.
Okay, but that you're building in 2 rushing touchdowns.
Tutu's going to
You're
take
building
those away
in
now.
2 rushing touchdowns. Your projections. You're going to be wrong, Eric.
All right. Well, Tutu's going to take those away now. It sounds like there's a good chance of that. Let's move to another team here because I want to be efficient with time. Let's go to Brad first here. Let's talk about the Cardinals, and let's talk about you got DeAndre Hopkins, and then you got a whole bunch here. AJ Green, is there anything left in the tank? Christian Kirk, is he just a DFS guy? Andy Isabella, is he ride the bench? But then obviously you have Rondell Moore, who one of my favorite rookies in this class and could be relevant this year. And then you have Max Williams as their tight end. So I think we can expect D-Hop probably a top 5 receiver in terms of production, right around there. But what about the rest of this team, Brad? Do you see anybody being a solid number 2 or anybody that's worth rostering?
I really don't. The only interesting pass catcher to me is DeAndre Hopkins. I think he was wide receiver 9 last year, and he's top 4 in ADP this year. That's a little high for me to take a wide receiver, but I get it. He's about as sure thing as they come. He's going to remain the primary red zone target as well. It's not like they have, a tight end worth getting. Rondell Moore and AJ Green both scare me a lot. So they have got ADPs of 67 and 79 respectively. And I'm expecting about 50 to 60 targets in a year for both of them. So drafting them that high. Yeah. So drafting them that high for like 3 to 4 targets a game isn't the kind of bet I'd like to make because they're going to be splitting with, Christian Kirk, and probably Isabella will get in the mix. Like I just think there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen there. So I think they could both end up being bust at that ADP.
I'm surprised AJ Green was that high. I was getting ready to say, well, no, Brad, I just take a late round flyer on him, but it's not even that.
A late round.
No, it's not even that.
Because everybody's thinking like, okay, he's got Kyler Murray now. He's going to sling it. That's going to raise his ADP. And there you go. Like he
I think his
easily
name
becomes
is
a
selling
bust.
too. Yeah, his name is selling.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those guys where his name still sells. But
He's got that history, so
I don't think he's going to be like terrible. Like I really think he's going to be better than what we saw last season.
Sure,
like,
I think so
healthy,
too.
If he's healthy,
and he'll get he'll get a couple touchdowns and he'll get some nice big catches and he'll be there in the fourth quarter to get some targets. But in terms of where he is in the pecking order, I think it's going to be
He'll be
low.
the best decoy in the game.
I mean,
that's a good way to put it.
Because a lot of those targets last season weren't on par for him. Like if you look at his true catch rate, it's really only 16 balls that he didn't get his hands on, which is not great, not terrible either. It's like right there to where, I really think he could still produce. And I really feel like, with all the drama there, he won the contract and you've seen the attitude he had towards the team on the bench, talking about trade me, et cetera. It was a lot going on. So maybe this is the fresh start he needs.
I just don't see the room for him because he doesn't play in the slot. He plays on the outside, and the outside is going to be D-Hop and probably Christian Kirk or Rondell Moore. And he's going to get like his packages and he'll get his few targets a game, but I don't see the path for him to become, that AJ Green name brand that we've come to know. And at 79 ADP, that's a tough bet.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks next. Eric, I'm going to set you up and you can tell me what you think here. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, drafted Dwayne Eskridge with pretty much some high draft capital, so you would expect he's going to be somewhat involved as the third wide receiver. They also have Gerald Everett for those that have been under a rock and don't realize he's their starting tight end this year. DK Metcalf is right now projected to be a top 5 wide receiver. Gerald Everett, I don't know, could he sneak in the top 7 or 8 potentially? But let's take a look first at DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, who were 7 and 8 in terms of total points, and they were wide receiver 10 to 12 in points per game. So they're, again, both top 12 wide receivers last year. The production for these two last season was so split. You had a 25.2% target share for Tyler Lockett, a 24.5% target share for DK Metcalf. So less than 1% difference. Then the next closest target share was David Moore at 8%. So a huge 2 for those two guys up there. Everybody else kind of getting the scraps. Then you have 11 touchdowns from Metcalf, 10 from Lockett, 133 targets from Metcalf, 137 for Lockett. But we know that Tyler Lockett is that boom bust guy is going to have 4 touchdowns on 19 targets one week. And then for the next 3 weeks, he's going to have a combined 12 targets for 4 catches or whatever the case may be. So you have
those were awfully specific, David.
So you have the more consistent week in, week out Metcalf, and you have the boom bust Tyler Lockett. Right now, you have Metcalf as wide receiver 5, Tyler Lockett going as wide receiver 18. I have Metcalf a little lower than I am, kind of closer to actually the bottom tier of the top 10. And I have Tyler Lockett way down at wide receiver 31. I think the addition of Dwayne Eskridge and Gerald Everett is going to help balance out targets, and he's going to be the one to suffer more than the other guys. So, Doc, anything I said that you disagree with, what do you expect from these Seahawks?
No, I think you hit nail on the head. I mean, Metcalf and Lockett had 47.2 of the total receptions last year. Chris Carson was actually third with 37. He had 2 more than David Moore. I do think Eskridge is going to dip into it a little bit. I think Lockett's going to be the one that suffers more. He had a 30.
Listen to me.
No, but you said you had DK
you listen
Metcalf
with more than your ears, Eric.
You said you had Metcalf lower than the consensus. I think Metcalf is going to be fine.
I said I had like 9 or 10 instead of wide receiver 5. I didn't say
I think he's going to be around wide receiver 5 because Lockett had a 37, 53, and 33 point PPR games last year, but he had 7 games under 10. I don't think you can bank on those huge games year in and year out. And I think Eskridge, he's 5'9", 190. I think that's more of a threat to steal Lockett's position than it is Metcalf. So I would have Metcalf around wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, and maybe Lockett a little longer than 20.
That's enough.
And also saying Gerald Everett is a threat, he's a blocker, David.
He's good at blocking. That's true.
Yeah. Gerald Everett was not signed to this contract just to block. He's going to be catching passes.
That's a good point.
He's going to be blocking. because the O-line is there is trash.
Yeah.
So they
David.
need everything they can to help out Russell Wilson. So
David,
he's
he
going to be there blocking.
He couldn't
he's
even
very
take over
athletic.
Tyler Higbee, okay?
John, let's have you finish this out so we can move to the last parts of the show here. Tell us all we need to know about the 49ers, who Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. I don't think there's anybody else in that offense that I would expect to contribute unless I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle's going to be your tight end 3, so definitely worth grabbing a top tier tight end because that's the hardest position to predict. Brandon Ayuk's going to be the number 1 player, and I've said this a ton of times, and I'll say it again. Second-year players who get a real training camp finally have such a high ceiling. So I'm extremely high on a Brandon Ayuk, regardless of who ends up starting, even if it's Garoppolo or if it's Trey Lance, learning the reins a little bit. I do see Deebo as more of like a high floor guy, almost like a Jarvis Landry. Like he's going to get some catches, he's going to get some yards. He's not really going to win you your week, but he's not going to lose you your week. Like there's going to be no harm in plugging and playing him in week to week. And then I did just want to put Jalen Hurts on my do not draft list. If you're entering your 3rd season and you haven't played a single game yet, no, steer clear.
That's good advice. I can't argue with that. But on that note, let's close the book on these division previews and let's go to the question of the week. Now, I played that specifically. LQ, do you know what that's from?
No.
Have you heard of the Super Friends?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, see, there we go. I knew LQ would know what they. This whole panel did not know what the Super Friends were.
I knew what it was.
That's like a super throwback.
I don't know. I still don't know what it is, David. I haven't given it a Google. The only thing I Googled was I saw it ran for half a year in 1973 or something. So I don't want to hear. I don't want no guff.
Well, you got to watch an episode. That's your homework assignment. But we are, of course, sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. We are now an official affiliate to Monkey Knife Fight, the fastest growing sports betting site in the United States. Use promo code TRIPLEPLAY and get up to $100 of your deposit match when you become a new user and use that code. And if you're looking to win some cash, make sure you follow the Monkey Night Triple Play shows each weekend to give you a 10 to 15 minute lock of the week, kind of looking at the gaming landscape of things. I totally butchered that, but that's okay. Just make sure you check those out because Brad hit on all his picks last week. So if you listen to Brad, you might win some money. If you do the opposite of what Eric says, you might win some money. So there you go. All right. So our question this week, which NFL player do you think has bars if you gave him a beat? LQ, you're the guest, so we're going to start with you. Who's that player?
Cole Beasley. 100%.
No. What, he's going to do an anti-vax anthem or something? No.
Cole Beasley got bars, bro.
Is Cole Beasley Andy Vax?
Cole Beasley looks like a CTE rolling shit from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, man.
I need the backstory to all this Cole Beasley hate, Johnny.
He's an anti-vaxxer.
When did that come out?
He tweeted that he didn't want to get the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, he got a lot of hate for that.
Yeah. Doc, what about you? That's a pretty good pick. Where are you going with yours?
Yeah, I can't follow up with that. I was jokingly going to say Russell Wilson because he's the corniest dude in the NFL. But I think Leonard Fournette. I think playoff Lenny when he gets in the
Leonard
zone.
Fournette does not seem like he can rap.
I don't know. I think when he's playoff Lenny, when he's in the zone, if you were to hand him the mic, he could rattle off a couple beats.
So if I'm in the zone, I can rattle off a rap.
No. You're not playoff Lenny.
Anybody's in the zone.
You're not playoff Lenny, David. Go to the next person. You're ugly.
Go ahead, Brad. His reason doesn't make sense.
I couldn't even think of one. Though the first person that comes to mind is like, I don't know, like Antonio Brown. Didn't he have a little career he was trying to get off the ground?
Oh my god!
So I don't know.
Timothy. I think that was his album, Timothy.
That's right. Yeah.
Trash. Hot garbage.
There was
I think he had a song that was like "No White Women." 2020s.
Bag of baby dicks.
Yeah.
Doesn't Le'Veon Bell and Deshaun Jackson both rap?
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell does.
Yeah, Bell does. Yeah.
Is he
I
good? I
thought-
haven't listened to him.
He's okay. He's in that Dame Lillard category where it's like
Yeah.
they're not
Dame is good,
amazing.
though. Dame is good though.
Dame's good. I mean, Lev Bell is good.
Mid.
I wasn't
I
gonna
don't think
say
anybody like listens to nobody's
Yeah.
like
Like, I wouldn't
throw
be
on
in the
that
car.
Dame Lillard.
Like I put it in my
Yeah.
headphones so nobody can hear it, but I wouldn't be in the
Right.
car.
You
Right.
wouldn't be bumping that where they could hear it. I
See,
respect that.
for this question, I didn't know you could already say somebody that raps. That changes the answer.
I mean, if you think they got bars, it doesn't matter who it is.
Antonio Brown doesn't really count.
John, did you have an answer, or did I already say it?
I think Darren Waller allegedly has a rap album as well, so I was just going to go with
Oh.
him. You know, he's got a life story. Why
He
not
does.
rap about it?
He'd be like the
True. I
J.
like
Cole
that.
of the football players.
I definitely, there are some pretty good ones out there, but it was actually great selection from all you guys.
What did you have?
I said Le'Veon Bell or Deshaun Jackson.
Oh, okay, I thought you were just asking the question. I didn't know that was actually your pick.
And that was my. If I wasn't those two, I wasn't prepared. So that was my throw-in answer. Before we get to the game of the week, we are auctioning off our Scott Fishbowl entry here. Again, we raised nearly $150 in the 24 hours we put up the thing. So very happy for everybody that contributed. I already ahead of time have our 100-yard rush with everybody's name on the left side of the screen that you can see.
David, get the thing out.
Yeah, let me
yes.
get. Thank you, Johnny. Let me get our background here removed so you can see this beautiful thing, this beautiful 100-yard rush. There we go. So I'll put it full screen so everybody can see. How many times should I shuffle the board, guys?
3.
7 times.
7.
Sevens.
So that
Damn.
means 37 times.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you don't have dial-up or something, David. We'll do it individually.
The question. There we go. Can I not shuffle? My computer will not let me shuffle it. So it looks like we're
Look at
going
that.
all in on 0.
Live TV.
All right. Are you guys ready for this? I'm gonna actually put us on the screen because I want us to see our reactions here when they okay.
Oh my God, it's tied.
We're not giving anybody the higher luck chance of winning. 1 minute. Normal I will do fast speed.
Yeah.
Boom.
1 minute.
I've never seen this website before, by the way.
Smart
Me
runs.
neither.
Here we go.
Great.
2, 1. Everybody's using this, so I just hopped in.
Oh,
man.
It even has
wow.
them moving their little legs.
We should start
Look
betting
at
on
them
this.
go. Look, Eric Rumoff.
I
Davey
feel like this
OUF.
should just be a recurring segment.
I agree with that.
Dude, this is kind of Eric. I feel like Eric might have a comeback in him.
I like Dap Scout. I'm taking Dap Scout plus
I'm
800.
taking Duff. I'm taking Duff. Duff is
Not
there.
even a chance.
Brad, do it.
Ah,
Oh,
Wow. Wow. Didn't even come in second or fourth or fifth or sixth. Wow. He really lost and fumbled the bag there at number 6.
Oh man.
Shout out to
Dap Scout, Brad. I'm glad that wasn't
Yeah.
your monkey knife fight pick of the week.
Oh, he
Dap
really
Scout will come
he
in.
really picked up speed at the end too. Sad.
There we go. All right. So if it's Davius, if you're watching, the spot is yours. If you're not watching, I'll make sure I DM you and make sure we get you that spot. But we thank everybody for donating. To have 10 people donate was awesome. So we really appreciate that. That was fun. Yeah, maybe we'll make that.
Yeah, that
more.
was fun. I kind of want to do that again with other stuff.
We should just
We'll
do that for a whole hour.
Do it for draft order. Do it for draft order.
That'll be good TV. All right, LQ. It's our last segment of the
Not
night.
a bad idea. That's how I'm going to do my rankings. Thank you, Z2 Fantasy.
LQ, it's our last segment of the night here. And I took my soundboard away, so no drop for it. But Johnny's hosting the game. So what are we playing tonight?
Oh, that means only
Eric,
one thing.
you know what we're playing.
That's only
know,
one thing.
There's coaches are modern day philosophers. And so I have 5 quotes here by various coaches and or philosophers. And we'll just sort of go around the horn, take your guess. You get a bonus point if you get the coach or philosopher correct. So you get 2 points. I don't keep track of your score. I'm not your mother. And to start
Even
it
has
off,
the same verbiage to introduce the game.
we'll start it off with our first one here. I can control my passions and emotions if I can understand their nature.
Oh, who starts?
Davey, you start.
Can you repeat the quote again?
I can control my passions and emotions if I can understand their nature.
That's definitely a philosopher, and I'm going Socrates.
LQ.
Bruce Lee.
Doc.
I'm going Coach, and I'm going Vince Lombardi.
I'm going philosopher Descartes.
This is philosopher Baruch Spinoza.
Not a real person.
I'm getting that. Forgetting that.
You can Google him. You can Google him. The next one is only one man ever understood me, and he didn't understand me.
All right. I'll say this is a coach, and I'll say it is Don Shula.
LQ.
Man, Little Wayne. Jesus, this is some good stuff.
That sounds like a Mike Ditka quote.
I'm gonna go Coach Parcells.
That is philosopher G.W.F. Heigl.
All right. Yeah, like how are we supposed to? LQ, we've done this show, like we've done this game probably like three or four times, and I learned all these philosophers just from how many times I sucked at it. So
Yeah.
These are definitely those two are certainly not well-known philosophers. My next one I've got here is you never say never to nothing.
That's a coach.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a coach. You're not gonna do three philosophers in a row, and I'm gonna say that's
until I do.
Bill Belichick.
I'm gonna go Pete Carroll.
Mike Tomlin.
I'm gonna go Jimmy Johnson.
That is Coach John Gruden.
Oh,
Damn.
right, well, I've got two.
And our second to last penultimate is you must continue to dream the wild dream you dreamed when you were young.
Coach, and I'm gonna go with Andy Reid.
Mike, no. Damn, I don't know. Sean McVay.
When in doubt, go with the team coach. I like it.
Coach Bill Parcells.
I'm gonna go. That sounds like something Tony Dungy would say.
That is something Mike Tomlin has said.
I said Mike. I'm like,
I know. I was wondering if you were going to say Tomlin.
I was about to say it. I was like, no.
Oh, man, I was one late
So,
on that.
what are the scores?
I have 3.
0.
I got
not
2.
counting.
You get a point.
I know you never count. You never count your scores, Brad.
That's true.
Well,
so it's 3-2 for the Mendelsons.
I think LQ, because you guessed coaches the last 2. You just haven't gotten the coach right. So you have
Oh,
2
yeah.
Yeah.
I got 2.
So 3-2-2.
All right.
So the last one is when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be.
Philosopher Plato. I only know that because of how many I've gotten wrong. Again.
Oh my god.
I think I know this one actually.
Do you think you do?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll give you the win if you get it, just because that would be fantastic.
Bill Belichick.
I have to go different than David to try to win. Coach Lombardi.
Wasn't the I think therefore I am, wasn't that Descartes? Isn't that, I feel like you just said the same thing. Say it again.
No, this is when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be.
I'm still going Descartes.
No, it's some Lao Tzu, and you guys never listen. I always tell you, I always have a Lao Tzu quote, and I leave it there at the end to make sure if you guys are listening, and you still haven't listened.
I'll remember next time.
Well, you know what? I'll take the win, even though my soundboard.
That's why I was going to give you the win, Brad, because I was like, finally, somebody's
Oh.
paying attention.
Well, I will take my win, and I will ride that to the rest of the night because I usually don't win that game. LQ, though, I want to say, man, it was an absolute blast having you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. We truly appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys thinking of me again. And hey, I'm ready to come back when we got that movie buff show.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
There
The
we go.
movie minutes are wild, that's for sure. Anything you want to plug, of course, to the audience before we get out of here?
Oh yeah, man. I got some heat coming this week. I mean, be on the lookout. I definitely got some videos coming out this week too. A lot of Cam Akers talk. Van Jefferson, I might do a video, on Antonio Gibson, just casual stuff that I've been doing every single week.
And talk about, because you just had some breaking news today, right? Some breaking news.
Oh, yeah. So I'll be providing video content for expandtheboxscore.com. So therefore you can check out my stuff there. And
There we go.
Another
There we
place
go.
to see my face.
You do the video content's awesome. And not enough people do that in this space. So you really stand out when you do that stuff, for sure.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, we know our guy Z2 Fantasy. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
There we go.
Best GIF out there. I love that GIF you got. But everybody, we appreciate you guys tuning in, watching, listening, however you consume Triple Play Fantasy. We truly appreciate you. Next week, we're going to be diving into the NFC South with Cooter Doodle. So that's going to be a fun show. Until then, everybody be safe